wherever you're listening to us from. This is Footprints, a podcast that tells the stories and shines a light on our elders and the footprints they have walked, the paths they have beaten for us, and the lessons that they want to pass on to us. In the first half of this, we listened to Miria, to her story from a village girl that she said all the way to international platforms. She said she trusted God. He gave her a vision and he enabled her to fulfill it. And she did it, whether she was at the resistance committee in her local village, all the way to the African Union Parliament and beyond. Wherever she was required to speak, she spoke out for women, for girls, for gender equality. And now, Miria, we want to come to the evening years. Yes, you have fulfilled your mission. You have done your calling. But you know, as we all do, life starts to wind down, starts to slow down. You start to see that one day, I will indeed not have these positions. I am transitioning into my next phase of life. And for some people, because that is such a hole, they cling on to what we have now. Mm-hmm. And then for others, you say, you know what, this is not the end. Yes, I had public service, I had political office, I had high office. This is not the end. There's a transition to something else. And that's the story I want you to walk us through, that transition to this phase of your life and what it has been like and what your advice is to leaders out there right now who are contemplating this transition and are afraid.
Actually, it's good you are talking about this transition. But for me, I was not even ready for transition. I think politicians, for them, they are not like public servants who prepare and they give the age for
retirement.
Yes. And they prepare their retirement package. So those ones have no excuse really to prepare where they are going. Mm-hmm. But for us, these people, I had worked for 20 years. Actually, I entered politics to go to parliament. I was a youth. Mm-hmm. I think I was 33 years. Mm-hmm. That's when I went to politics. 20 years, I worked in the political arena. Mm-hmm. I was thrown away unexpectedly, unprepared when I was 53 years. So 20 years of full work, and I knew I was still moving on, vibrant. I had not finished, the cause. But because of my integrity, I object to the removal of term limit, and they threw me out like that. So I was not prepared. But this God, you see, because I had already made noise all over the place. Now, as soon as I found myself seated here in this house, actually, I'm glad you brought this issue because I even wrote a small book entitled Political Evangelism. The beauty of conversing with God. Why did I call it political evangelism? I wanted to evangelize the politicians so that they may know that there is life after politics. Because in fact, it's the politicians who fall in this suffering or who stick there and they can't get out. When this God of mine prepares me, and the next day, when the last elections in Uganda were held, and me, today you are honorable Pan-African Parliament member, the next day you are nobody, no title, no nothing. It was amazing how God prepared for me, because within 3 days, I got this call to go to Washington at the National Endowment for Democracy for a good 5 months. So God gave me a soft landing. So I went there. My 5 months, I spent them, concentrating on my God and what I could do. So that's when it came to my mind and I said, if I cannot run with my vision in politics, can't I run with it in a civil society? So that's when I made a proposal to those people who had called me for the fellowship to establish the Center for Women in Governance. And when I came here and established it, they gave it the first funding. But wait a minute. Even before I started sitting in there, the Lord said that was not what He meant for me. And so I never even went on with that thing. But I established it. Up to now, it is running, just like I did with Oxford. Up to now, it is there. For me, I establish and go. So I had a very, very serious challenge here. Now saying, when I remember when I came back from Washington, I came here after 5 years. Imagine you've been honorable over the place passing, and people, now you don't know, 20 years is good, too long for you to be now the local person. Remember, I was a local person 33 years. Yeah. I'm now 53, you know? I mean, it was very difficult for me. It was very scaring. How do I fit into the community? Where do I go? How do I start? It was very scaring and very shaky. Because in Africa, it is so bad. Imagine all the distinguished work I had done. When you were dropped, you were like garbage. And yet in Europe or developed countries, they use these brains. I would be one like now, these board members of important organizations or human rights or whatever, or public, whatever, board members of things. You are supposed to get that and continue using your brains. But in Africa, that's it. 53 years, this vibrant woman making influence all over the place, that's it. It was just like that. It was very shaky and I couldn't know. So I came here. Remember, I called my neighbors here. I said, you better pray for me because I really don't know what to do. But you know, being a Christian, I talk as a Christian and I think it is one way that can redeem human beings. Because when I went to Washington as a safe landing, they gave me $1,000. You know how many was it? $5,000 to keep me there. I got an apartment. Every day I would go and visit, talk to people and that kind of thing. It was really relaxing. 5 months of relaxation. No, I think it was it 30,000 or 25,000 for maintenance there. So, but I looked at it, being a Christian, I looked at it, the story of Elijah. You know, when Elijah announced that there would be no rain, God took him to a brook. He said, go to that brook. I will be supplying you. The ravens supplied the food and the Elijah got the water from the brook, but the ravens supplied food. So I said, I am here like Elijah. Because I was supplied for. You remember I was thrown away with nothing. Because we didn't get any pension. I didn't get any gratuity. I worked for this country 30 good years of hard work and commitment, but I was thrown away like garbage without anything. So I didn't. And those days, we were not stealing. We were working hard, depending on the salary. What had I prepared? I know I had prepared one thing during my allowance, my constitutional allowance, or what. I had built a house in Ntinda there, which was being rented. And actually, the rent is the one which helped me even for the home in Ushen, you know, settled to know we will be here and there. But as for cash,
yes,
it was not. So when I was praying to God, now when the brook dries, I want you to give me the widow of Zarephath. You know, God told Elijah when the brook dried, he said, you move from here, I will give you a widow. Get your widow to supply for you. So I said, God, when I go back to Kampala, give me a widow of Zarephath. So I came here, sat here, couldn't even go out. Like they would look at me as if I'm embarrassing. I felt like I was a thief. That's when I learned that's why people don't want to leave that office. Because of the attitude even the people have towards them. I remember even when I was still in Barara after losing election, you know, the woman said, you know, they bought all the elections and so on. They said, look, the person who has been doing all this for you. But anyway, if I didn't have God, I don't know what would have happened to me. It's a very sad situation. So I said, God, now when I go, I want the widow of Zarephath. So when I sat in this house, what was amazing is this, which people should know. What bothered me so much was not the sustenance. What shall I eat? What shall I drink? Or what? I have no money. No. And yet I didn't have it. But what disturbed me was amazing was that, my God, I'm going to disappear in oblivion. This issue of self-significance is so important to people, because that's what was paining me. Where shall I go? Because you see, when you are Honorable Matembe, whatever function they call you on for a function, I mean, you are the chief guest, I mean, you are a guest speaker, I mean, you cannot disappear in oblivion. You are in the limelight all the time. Because of the position you are holding and because of what you are doing. When they call you for a party, they call because you are honorable, minister of ethics, whatever. So you stay in public, you don't disappear in oblivion. So that's what challenged me most. I'm going to disappear in oblivion. In the meantime, I was waiting for the widow whom I asked God to give me for the supply. So those are the two things that were disturbing me. And I started walking. Every day I would wake up and pray and, and go and walk. As I walked, I would be speaking with my God. And then after about a month or so, in the meantime, I'm writing out this thing for Sewigo. It had not started. I would be writing and to establish it. About 2 months ago, I was walking. I remember even where I was walking, where I reached. And then I was saying, but God, where is this widow? When is the widow coming? I tell you, I was a fool. I don't know what type of a widow. I didn't know if it was physical widow or what. I don't know. But I was waiting for God to send me the widow. When I was saying, but this widow, then God, the voice said, you mean you don't see her? Then I said, where is she? When you are walking, you are not asking loud, but it's in the spirit. In the spirit, I said, where is she? Then God started listing. Don't you have food? Don't you have your vehicle? Doesn't it have fuel? Don't you have your airtime? Don't you have electricity in the house? Don't you? They had reached like 6 things. Then I said, the widow means supply. I hadn't realized that I was not lacking anything. I said, my God. So the widow means supply. I came here very excited. I told Nick, you know what? I have met God there on the way. God was for him, he doesn't bother. But me, I was excited. When I went back the next day, the same spot, he said, he reminded me, by the way, the widow had to first part with what he had to give to Elijah, the oil and flour. So God was showing me I must part with the little man I had for him. He even told me how much I got the money which I had, because with my daughters, I had come with a few of the daughters which remained. So I got this money. I took it to church. I told them, you know what? This is not a tithe. This is not an offering. I'm planting a seed. I'm planting a seed for the word of God to germinate and grow, because he gave me my word. Now, another day, now the supply was now sorted, because he said he would supply. He said, I will not lack. I will not lack. And the lacking was dependent on the rain. I will not lack until it rains. You remember that we. So I know I will not lack anything until he deploys me into what he wants me now to earn from that. Now, the other day, I was still agonizing with the oblivion. Then one day when I was seated there, I was praying, and God said, if you thought that these positions which you had were the ones putting you in the limelight, you are mistaken. He said, it is me who was giving you those positions. So it is me who was putting you there. And he said, now for you, you are mine. And the positions have left you. But me, I'm still with you. And I will never leave you. No, you will never disappear in oblivion. You people, Those two things, God sorted out the supply and then sorted out the disappearance into oblivion. I can assure you this is 18 years since then. I have not lacked. I may not have mansions. I don't have mansions. I don't have Benzes to drive. I don't have whatever, but I have lacked nothing. I have not lacked anything. God has made sure that He has sustained me. And moreover, this is now when I come with who is this? Is it
John Maxwell?
John Maxwell says that a leader's passion to carry out her vision or her dream does not depend on the position, but it depends on the passion. I proved this right, that the leader's courage to carry on, to run with her dream or vision does not depend on the position, but on the passion. I can assure you, with my 18 years of out of office at all, I am still running with my vision. I am still influencing. And I want to say that influence does not depend on the position. Therefore, leadership is about influence. And I have come to realize or to prove that leadership is about influence, and influence does not depend on a position. It depends on you having a vision and having a passion, determination, and commitment to run with that vision. And particularly when that vision is God's purpose for your life. I have proved it. I have lived it. I have told you right now, 18 years out of any office, I continue to be of influence. I have never disappeared in oblivion. I have never run. I have never lacked. Some of the children had not finished this school. We have not talked about my family life. But some of the children were not yet in the university. All my children had not married at all. But I can assure you, I had very gracious, glorious weddings for my children, or the children, plus whatever. I don't know how many weddings I have held here. I don't know how many. I am telling you, God is real. And His promises are real. Let me tell you, one of the promises which I'm waiting for, which He told me one day when I was seated there. He said He was weaving a grand design for my destiny. And I interpreted that to mean until it rains. He told Elijah, the flour and the oil will not run out until it rains. And so the flour and the oil which I'm depending on from my God will not run out until the grand design, which is within, comes. You see me, you say I'm 70 years. I've not yet started. The second phase of my purpose in life is there. Brace yourself. Don't think Matembe is going home. I will go home when I'm done. I'm talking to people who may say, Matembe with her God. God gave me this scripture, which is John chapter 15, verse 16. It says, I chose you and appointed you. I chose you and appointed you that you may bear fruits that would last. That was God telling me. He chose me. I did not choose Him. He chose me and appointed me that I would bear fruit. If God had wanted me to just work and earn money and eat and be happy and enjoy, He would not have added fruits that would last. Fruits that would last. What He meant, He chose me, gave me a purpose of influence, and I have to influence the people, His people, so that by the time I go, I will not go. That's what you call a legacy. That's what you call a legacy. I'm living in this country for 18 years ago, let me tell you. If I ask you, do you know, you young people, do you know the women, even the 39 women who started off in NRC? We started off when we were 39. Eventually we became 54. Eventually, we became so many. All the districts are increasing. Do you remember how many women worked with Matembe in parliament all this time who are still in the limelight? They could be there in their homes. They could be there with mansions. They could be there with very huge business, hotels. They've made skyscrapers and all that. Well, they're influencing because people sleep in their hotel. But my biggest talent is my mouth. My best skills or whatever is my courage. My courage, my integrity. In other words, my mouth and my character. And therefore, the influence I make onto the community, not only here, but in the world, through my mouth, the words I speak. And usually, you remember when John and Peter found a beggar at the temple of God. He asked them, give us money. And Peter told them, silver and gold we don't have.
But what I have, I give to
you. Stand up and walk. So for me, these girls, the young marriages, the young boys whom I influence every day by my word, they don't even have to see me. You saw the man we met there, the elder man, when he said, but I seem to know you. When I said I'm Matembe, I hear of. People in this parliament, they told me, you are my mentor, I've never seen them. Mm-hmm. I'm sure these girls here who are here with you, I cannot go and talk to an audience and go out without impacting on somebody. So many girls in parliament, all these women in parliament, everywhere in many jobs and so on, they come, they meet you and say, when you came to Mary Hero in senior 2, I was in senior 2. But this, and they remember the words which I say that spark them off. This Sarah Pendi, I thought I had never seen her. When I was congratulating, I said, you are doing very well. You make me proud. He said, but you are my mentor. I said, Sarah, I don't know you. You came to Tororo Girls. You talked to us one day. And I said, I will be like Matembe. So there are so many girls all over in the schools, in Akasura, everywhere where I used to go, because I used to visit every school. But the words I would give. But it was not me. God chose me for a purpose. I'm telling you, God chose me and appointed me for a purpose, and my purpose is to run for justice and fairness. And you know why he supports me, this God of mine? Mm-hmm. Because justice and righteousness are the foundation of God's throne. So anybody who runs for justice and what is right, if you make right actions and divine authority to govern your principles in life, God holds you and you run with him. Let me tell you, these people in this government, whatever they make, I'm here. Do you see me with a fence? Do you see me with whatever you see? Who do you think is keeping me safe? And he told me, I have my scripture, Jeremiah. I stand on it. And he says, whether they will fight you, but they will not manage. So for me, I want to tell people, I didn't prepare, but because I was standing in the right footing with God, when I stood for integrity and I was thrown away, he picked me. I didn't tell you how he began with me because of the skills, because of talking for women, because immediately I started getting contracts. I became a consultant for women in politics. All these countries, Sierra Leone, where Liberia, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Botswana. I became a consultant for about, I think, like at least 3 years of my being here. And that was giving me dollars was a tip. So when it gave me dollars, I also started, that's how I made the weddings for my children. That's why we made all these. And by then my husband had retired, and when they are working, earning salaries, it was not much. But what God did for us, because my husband also stood on integrity when they were stealing beer, building mansions, he never did. because he has integrity also. So when he was retiring, he retired when I was a minister. When he was retiring, they gave us this plot, and the house here is a gift for integrity. For us, in our family, we have depended on integrity. People may laugh at this house, we renovate here and there, but God has kept us. Don't we have wealth here now, this land? So we have inheritance for our children. Because of standing for integrity, God gave us this inheritance for our children, and we are waiting for them to take it and use it. But now, if I were to conclude, I would say that I would appeal to everybody to really identify their God-given purpose. In this world, we are made differently, but we are made by God. Because God created each of us for a purpose. Do you know that I didn't know my biggest, that this mouth of mine was my biggest talent until when I talked to President, very tough and harsh, against removing the term limit. He was very angry with me because I talked to him in public and with all the confidence and with all the believing. I believed in what I was saying. I was driven in leadership not for personal interest, for the people of Uganda, that they would have justice, they would have fairness, they would progress, not fighting. And we put the term limit. And I see him saying, let's remove the term limit. To go back to where we came from, I stood up, and with all the confidence and courage, which Ugandans don't have, for them, when they see president, they want to kneel down. For me, when I see the president, I see a human being like me. I see him as a human being like me. I give him his honor, but I tell him what he should listen to, but others fear. So when I told him, he was so angry. He was so angry. He abused me publicly, and I was so annoyed, and I regretted why I ever put in my life, my energy to work. Now she's treating me like garbage before he dropped me. And I said, when I go home, I will resign. That night, I didn't even pray. But in the morning, God gave me scripture. It is Isaiah 49, verse 1 to 3. And he said, I gave you a mouth like a sharpened sword. I hid you under the shadow of my hand. I made you into a sharp arrow. I concealed you into my quiver. And I said, you are my servant. I put Miriam there. He said, my servant Israel. Isaiah is my servant. Yes, Isaiah. My servant Isaiah. I said, you are my servant Miriam, in whom I will display my splendor. That's what he told me. And then he said, what made me know that that was my word? The words which we are following, they were saying, and I said, I wasted my time. I worked for nothing. I toiled for nothing. I wasted my energy. Exactly what slept in my head. And then he went on to say, but my reward comes from God. Whatever is due to me is from my God. Wow. It was done. It was sealed. I started dancing in the room, singing and dancing, and Mukwaya was next door. I said, Miriam, what's wrong with you? Remember, in the night I had gone very depressed, deeply broken, that I'm this. And when I was telling the president, I was speaking to him in love. I was, that's why I got so hurt, because I was speaking to him as the father of the nation in love. Please continue your legacy. Don't go into this. Don't be like Obota and Amin. Please for him, he didn't take it that way. So I was so hurt. I was so bitter. I went to sleep, and now in the morning, I'm excited. I have had a personal encounter with God. And from there, I knew, so my mouth, God gave me my mouth. I should not regret that I talked. God was saying, yes, it was right, you talked. That's what God was telling me. And from that, that's when after that, actually, he called us to Rachtura, and then I told him my mind. I told him, for me, you and I, we have parted. Eventually, of course, we parted. But God, every person should know that he was created by God for a purpose. And he was created for a purpose. And that purpose was to bear fruits, and fruits that would last. We are not supposed to work for ourselves. We are supposed to work and leave an impact which will impact on other people. And so they need to know their purpose. What are they called for? Secondly, they need to know their talents. They need to know their talents. You know, many people, there is this story in the Bible of the talents where Jesus was telling people, a man got 5, he gave one talent to one person, another to 2, another 4, and 5. And when he came back, they were all accounting. They accounted that they used their talents. But the talent, the one person with one talent, he told this master that for me, I know you are so tough. And one thing that God revealed to me recently, this man who got 1, he said, I know you are a very cruel person. You always harvest where you have not planted. But I used to say, but this man had planted this time. He had planted his one talent to him. But God revealed to me that his people, he has many people here whom he gave talents who don't know that they have them. That's why that man was saying, I know you harvest where you don't plant. But the man had planted a talent, had given him one talent. And that story says, each according to his ability. We must know that each of us have abilities. And you don't admire the other person's ability. And now that I'm talking to women while I'm concluding, the reason why I call myself an accomplished woman of destiny who is very successful in what she went to do, I never fought fellow women. I never. Because God revealed to me, if he made you, it is trees which bear fruits.
Yes.
Each tree bears its own fruit. You see this bunch of matoke, it will bear matoke. That fruit of mine, the pawpaw, it will bear pawpaw. Now we have fene here, it will bear fene. We have passion fruit. Now, if fene, instead of concentrating on producing its own fruit, is going to, I wish I could produce pawpaw. You are not going to produce pawpaw. You are not going to do that. You concentrate. If it is passion fruit, concentrate on your passion fruit. Do the best passion fruit.
Yes.
If it is a mango, do your mango. If it is a small mango, it makes a nice juice. If it's a big mango, you eat it as a fruit. I can assure you, every fruit has people to love it. And so, women out there, instead of beginning to compete, no, this one is this. No. What tree are you? Start producing those very fruits. And I can assure you, they will be taken, they will be of influence, and you will be okay. And that's what I tell to women. Find your purpose, identify your talents, and you've got it each according to your ability. Don't care about the one with 5 parents, his ability was bigger. And by the way, whoever gets more will account for more. Yes. Need more. So, I think that is the message I can conclude. I am not who I am because of myself. It is by the grace of God who created me, knowing that he's created me for a specific purpose. And I have served that purpose, and I continue to purpose it with no remuneration. By the way, God knows when to remunerate me, because he said, my reward comes from God. What is due to me comes from my God. If you go and see those people who retired with the packages or whatever, you think they are happy as I am. And maybe one thing I say this, we finish. At one time, I visited, the devil met me on the way, on the journey. I used to meet God and we converse, but one day the devil met me. And you know what he did to me? He showed me. He said, you, Miriam, you think you are anything. You think they used you, they dumped you there, you are useless. Look at you. Look at Kadaga. You are even older than Kadaga. You are a senior, a counsel in law, and even in parliament. When Museveni came, I was in the NRM. She was not in the NRM. She was over DP, because we was DP. And me, I embraced NRM and I ran with it. By the time they came into the politics, I had gone there before them. But God was saying, but the devil was saying, For you, they threw her away. That one has been a speaker. All the time she has never failed to get a job. Kadaga got jobs right from the beginning. Minister up to deputy speaker twice. Then Honorable Kaswe, vice president. Then there was also this Julia 17 day. She raised like quarter, and I'm the one who contributed in making him the commissioner for police to investigate corruption. That's when she was elevated. And so God went on that journey showing me you are nobody, you are nothing. That's why they threw you out. And this devil is real. I usually walk with my energy. By the time I reached my gate, I was about to being dragged in. The jealousy, the envy, the bitterness, the hatred, how this man has used me and dumped me as if I didn't realize what I went to do. And how these people are doing very well and that kind of thing. Now you are rubbish, you are nothing, mama. I came in with all this bowed down heavily. God is good. I walked at my altar. And when I reached my altar and I was praying, God led me to word. He realized I was finished by this devil. At my altar, I encountered my Jesus. You know what God told me? Exact word that I needed to hear. It is Hebrews chapter 9, Hebrews verse 1, chapter 9. You know what it says?
Hebrews
chapter 1, verse 9. It says, you have loved justice, you have hated wickedness, and loved righteousness. Therefore, the Lord your God has set you apart and has anointed you with oil of gladness above your companions. You go and read it. Can you imagine the devil was bringing companions and I'm so finished, I'm done, I'm useless. And then God meets me and says, no, you have hated wickedness and have loved righteousness. Therefore, the Lord your God has set you above your companion and has set you above and anointed you with oil of gladness, oil of joy above your companion. And when God talks to you after that, it is like drawing off the curtain and then showing you who you want, what you want. And he showed me all this. I wrote it in that book, Political Evangelism. I saw it. I said, what? I am here, admiring what you shouldn't admire. Maybe I am here. Of all the women that are my category, somebody who has held a public office and have made such influence at public level and has also succeeded at the family level, have raised good children, they have married, they have families, they know the Lord. And you look at the others and say, he was showing me, look this. I said, God, I fell down and I apologized and I danced, I sang. And I got up like fury. I'm there with my God. Don't tell me anything else. So, this, you go, you find out to put it there. But that day was like a devil and God met me. For me, appear I make every Ugandan. God is real and the devil is real. And you choose whom to follow and you'll be able to make the influence that will last. And therefore you leave a legacy which is admirable and which you are proud of. If you follow the devil, he has also his legacy. He came to steal, to kill, and destroy. You know what will happen. I wish you the best.
Miria, thank you so much. We could go on and listen to you for forever, but such powerful words of wisdom. I don't even want to summarize it and spoil it for people. You will summarize it as you have received it. And influence for the world. You have a purpose, you have a talent, you have a skill. Use it to influence and impact this world. Thank you so much for listening to us. Until we bring you our next guest on Footprints, we wish you very well. Thank you for listening to us. Bye-bye.